All right, hello, good evening. Welcome back to the Law Entrance YouTube channel and to a very special strategy session. It's the final 7 day strategy session. And today we have very special guests, two special guests, I would say, Shreyans and Ananya. Welcome to the stream, guys. For people who don't know them, these guys are the toppers of last year's CLAT exam. I would quickly ask Ayushi to introduce them further and then we'll start our session.
Hello and welcome everyone. I hope you know me, but we have two special guests today. Ananya, yeah, 3, and he's currently in NLS, dream college of a lot many students of yours. And another one, we have Shreyansh. He is currently in NUJS Kolkata, another dream college that you really aspire. Good evening everyone. Good evening. So yes, we have. आपके बहुत सारे क्वेश्चंस थे with regard to strategy, with regard to everything, and these two are here with us today to resolve all your queries. और हमने स्पेशली इन दोनों को इसलिए इनवाइट किया है. Over to you, Govind.
Okay, cool. Awesome. So we'll take your questions as well. But before that, let's ask a very few important questions which all of you keep asking us. And I think it would be great to hear them from the toppers. So let's start with the mindset. So, what was going on through your minds when you were in the last stage of your preparation in the last 7 days? Because a lot of these students are nervous, they're anxious, some of them are underconfident, some of them are impatient. आपका mindset कैसा था when you were in this particular stage? Let's start with Shreyans.
Yeah, thank you for introducing me. So, talking about mindset thing, what I tried from my personal end was being balanced. Like, probably I thought I have done enough preparation. So, if my paper will go wrong in any case, it will not be because of my preparation or lack of practice. Most probably, it will be because of my mindset or how I handle those 2 hours. So I try to like be balanced, control the controllables. And one most important thing is key, sometimes people say that do not overthink or do not think. What I believe is key, the problem is not with thinking but thinking right things. So I always believe that thinking about the process is good, key how I am going to attempt English or legal, or how I am going to manage those 2 hours, rather than thinking about okay, which college I will get into, what rank I will get into. So this was the thing I tried to implement in the last week.
Lovely. Ananya, what's your take on this?
Yeah, thank you. Hi, everyone. So I'd say yes, just keep a cool head. It's not always about, oh, I haven't really covered this. What if it, it gives me a jump scare in the actual examination? I'd say even if you think you don't know, you need to gaslight yourself into thinking that you do know, because a lot of law is about general sensibility, and the principles that you're going to apply in the actual examination are going to help you later on in college, which is actually what the case has been in reality. So yeah, just don't overload yourself. Keep a cool head. You've been like practicing for even if you've only been practicing for about uh let's say 3-4 months at this point, it's a long term investment, and this is going to be the payoff. So think of it as more of a transaction, not a life changing event, because like there's going to be plenty of those later on. So just don't stress it. It's not that deep generally.
Completely agree. Don't stress, don't overload. So, Ananya, when you say don't overload, what do you suggest should be the ideal number of mocks a student should take in the final leg in the last 7 days? Because a lot of these students are wondering whether to take 2 mocks a day, 1 mock a day, a mock every alternate day. What was your strategy and what would you recommend? Am I audible?
Yes,
Ayushi?
yes, you are.
Am I? Okay. I think Ananya is
You are
not with us.
audible. I
Okay.
think there is some network lag with Ananya. No worries.
No problem.
Too many serious questions in the starting of the session. I would
That's
like to
okay. We'll
make
take
it a
them
bit
all.
normal. So,
Mhm.
Let Ananya
ठीक है,
come
श्रेयांश
back
से पूछ
and
लेते
then
हैं.
we'll
Let
ask
let's
a few
let's hear
more.
from श्रेयांश. श्रेयांश,
हाँ
what is
हाँ
your take? Marks,
श्रेयांश
कितने marks देने चाहिए?
कैसा चल रहा? हाँ हाँ
I think Ananya is back. He will take the question.
Am I audible?
Yes, sir, you are.
Yeah.
Were you able to hear my question?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I
Okay.
just attempted previous year question papers. Rule of thumb, don't attempt mocks 1 or 2 days before the actual examination. You need to clear your head so that you can employ your mental abilities to the best of your capacity in the actual exam. Familiarize yourself with what the actual pattern tends to be and how many times it diverts from what you have done in the mocks. So, like this year, we got analytical reasoning, which wasn't the case with our mocks. So you need to just prepare for the unexpected, and I'd say do like 2, 3 previous year question papers, not daily. Do it on alternate days, or if you can handle it without burning out, you can do it like continuously one after the other. But yeah, that's just it. Just don't do anything 1 or 2 days before the CLAT itself.
Okay, great. So, Shreyansh, do you agree or do you have a different strategy?
No, mostly I agree. If you want to do mock, do not exceed the number of three in last week. One or two, that suffices. And one important thing, as he stated, PYQs. Because what happens is when you attempt too many diverse mocks, what happens is your reasoning sometimes get distorted that may not match with the consortium's reasoning. Your mind tends to develop a pattern of reasoning that resembles with mock of any particular institute, or for that matter any coaching. But it is very important to align your mindset with what consortiums think, and the best way to do is to do PYQs, like that is the actual paper consortium has said. So yeah.
Great advice. Ayushi ma'am, I think we should take one or two questions from the chat. Shall we?
yes we should because students are here with a lot many questions.
Okay.
They
I
are
can see
they have
Riva's
filled the
question.
comment box, I believe. A lot
ठीक है.
many.
I can
Yeah.
see Riva's question
Yeah.
on my screen.
Since we are in
I'll
the
just
end days,
highlight it. Okay, any one of you can go for it, Shreyans or Ananya. So Riva says that since we are in the end days of our prep, there are a lot of things like Manthan, important topics, and individually too. Should we do Manthan or the most important topics in the last 6 days, or a combination? What should be the strategy for students? How to revise whatever they have studied? Okay, let's start with Ananya for this.
I
Ananya,
mean,
you're on
yeah,
mute.
always, yes, yes. Yeah, always do the more major topics first because they tend to, be an umbrella for the rest, like subtopics. So if you're, for example, covering a conflict, it's going to be an umbrella for geopolitics and who the minister of this country is, etc., etc. So if you're done with the basics, you can move on to the details, which is always the case with a lot of things. You don't, of course, you don't need to barrage your brain with information, especially the tiny details. Like, yeah, so you don't need to barrage your brain with tiny details in the last few days. Stick to the major topics, and if you pick up previous year question papers, you'll see that this is actually the pattern, with the notable exception of, I think, CLAT 2022, where they gave certain questions like what armband was this football player wearing and what was it about, which is actually, if you like give it a little more thought, also an example of how a major topic, let's say FIFA, I think it was from because of the World Cup, uh, uh, a major topic like gives you a sort of insight into what the tinier details can be. So that's my input.
That's great insight. Shreyans, agreed?
Yeah, I think doing Manthan or important topics are innately not in contradiction. So because Manthan tend to
okay.
contain those important topics
So,
also.
asking,
Shreyans, you were saying something?
is my connection good?
Yeah, yeah. I
Yeah,
was saying
I think
that
Ayushi. Please go ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So I was saying that doing a manthan or important topics are innately not in contradiction. You can do both. Like supposedly you are covering those important topics in theme. So eventually you will end up covering most of the topics in manthan also, because manthan is a very sorted compendium which contains those important topics. Like while curating manthan, it is considered that you cover those important topics. So yeah, you can prioritize, first cover those very topics which are in highlights, and then slowly and gradually, if time permits, you can move to other topics of manthan also.
Super interesting. Okay, so what I observe, both of you might have also experienced, is that students are really very stressed and tensed in the last few days, and they need some, sort of motivation, some insight. So you guys have been in first year of your college now. What was something which was super interesting, something unexpected, a fun memory which you could share with these students? Something which makes your respective college worth it, or you feel that everything, the grind, the hard work was absolutely worth it. Anything fun memory, any senior interaction, anything which you vividly recall from your initial days of college? Shreyans, you go first.
Yeah, so one very good thing about NUJS is ki unlike most of the national law school, it is there in like the literally the middle of the city, heart of the city. So there is no restriction. Everything is very, very easily accessible. And second, very good thing is about the senior junior interaction. I think not only law school, considering universities across the dimension, be it engineering, medical, or law schools, this college has one of the best senior junior interaction. Like uh, you can ask them for anything and everything at any point of the day, and they are very helpful. So yeah, these two things are quite good with this college.
Positive interaction slash ragging. Is this the interaction, or is it actually healthy?
No, no. This is the good thing, that there is no the positive is literally there in the positive interaction.
That's reassuring. Okay, Ananya, what's your experience?
So not to deter anyone who's like set NLS as their ideal college, but it's really not this kind of idealized version of a of what a law school should be. It's honestly all about the people. When you interact with people on campus, everyone's got some new kind of input. You feel like you gain something from every interaction. And yeah, in a law school you won't really get ragged more than interrogated more, like, because it's not like they're picking you out and grinding you to a powder for your personal choices. It's just like, okay, bhai, personal choice, it's all right, no stress. But yeah, generally speaking, you won't ever be bored here, because every day or the other there's something going on. If I remember correctly, we had a cultural fest along with a flagship moot conducted by the alternate dispute resolution committee, and a cohort of maybe coaching students that came to explore the campus. So they don't really care about making everything this big bash with a ceremony. They just do things. If you want to learn something, all right, or go to sleep or something. It's just very mellow. It's nice.
Okay. So what I can take from that is you do get a lot of choice and freedom to explore a lot of things, meet a lot of new people, get a lot of insights from people from all walks of life. That's amazing. Awesome. And Shans, thank you for frightening our students with positive interaction stories. Much appreciated. Okay, lovely. So let's get back to business. Let's talk about mock scores, which is a question which bothers almost every aspirant. What should be the ideal mock score? What should be, how much deviance did you see from your actual CL mocks to the CLAT mock? Let's start answering the question that how do we deal with fluctuation of mock scores, first of all? Because a lot of these students are concerned that mock scores are fluctuating, mock scores are not stable. Sometimes they see a dip. What should be the mindset to approach that? Ananya, what's your take on this?
Mock scores matter for two things. One, your ego boost, and second, the self-esteem that comes from that ego boost. From what I've seen, you might score very well in mocks and then completely bomb the actual exam because you're feeling too nervous. or you could always get something like 70s or 80s in your mocks, and then suddenly jump to 100 plus in your actual examination, which somewhat was the case in my situation, because consistently speaking I got like 80s to 90s. An ideal mock score should always be above 100. The point was that I noted my mistakes down. I made sure I didn't make them again. So when the actual exam came along, I took the safest route. Oh, I know that I've made a mistake here. I know I'm not going to do the stupid thing again just to see if it actually works with the examiner. I'll take the safest route. So even if you critique the decision from every single angle, it's still correct in some sense. So that's about it. Mocks are for practice. The actual exam is what's going to matter. So don't get too nervous about your mock scores unless you're being too lax about it कि यार 70-80 आ रहे हैं actual exam में हो ही जाएगा. Don't do that.
Oh, sorry, I was on mute. Shreyansh, do you have anything to add to this?
Yeah, so two things. First, regarding the mock score, so I know by personal experience at least 10 people who were scoring less than me in the mocks, and they have gotten a better rank than me in actual flat. And I equally know 10 people who were scoring better than me in mocks and have gotten less rank than me in actual flat. So this is the case. What really matters is the range. If you are in good range, considering 70, 75, or even 60, 65, the D day will decide where you will fall. Until and unless you are not completing your paper or you are not able to complete section, that is a different case. But if you are able to complete all the sections, attempt decent number of questions, so mock scores will fluctuate, and they have to. Like, very simple example, if we see the share market, or the market, if you are reading companies properly, investing for long term, eventually you will see a growth. But if you will keep tracking it daily, then it will be like a heartbeat, up down up down. Same is the case with mock score. If you will track yourself or judge yourself with every single mock, it will fluctuate. You cannot get same score in every mock, but over the period of time, if you have done things right, eventually it will pay off on the D day.
All right. So the takeaway is, do not get scared about these fluctuations. They are normal. Just focus on your preparation, take the insights, and keep the right mindset. Okay. So the next question, which I would like to ask, I think it has also been a recurrent theme in the chat, is how exactly did you manage your paper on the D day? What was your approach? Did you have a fixed strategy? Did you improvise your strategy? How was it different from an actual mock which you attempted? What went on exactly on the D-Day through your mind when you saw the paper and when you attempted the paper? Take us through the process as detailed as possible as you can. Shreyans, let's go with you first.
Yeah, so actually, it is the most important part of your preparation. Your preparation only constitute 50 to 60% of your rank. The D day itself will decide the rest 40-45. So what I did was, like, I reached the exam center around 1, and we were allowed to sit in the examination hall around 1:30. So in those half an hour sitting in the examination of, first of all, you have to comfort yourself with the environment. You like, okay, this is the window, this is the room, and relax. Then eventually keep a rough idea, like how you have attempted your mocks. Do not change your pattern completely on the D-Day until and unless paper is at some extreme end, like from the section you start is like too difficult or something like that. Do not change your mock pattern, because that is the thing you have been practicing all through the year, and the day when it mattered you change it, so no point. And secondly, have a rough idea. Be very clear that if you will keep control of your timings from the first section itself. Supposedly I attempted English as my first section, so I was very sure that if I am able to attempt English within 25 minutes, then I have control of my paper from starting, and eventually then rest of the paper will fall in its place. So one thing I kept in my mind, that okay, you have to keep the track of your tribe, and eventually you only have to think ki how I will attempt this question. Supposedly there is a question in front of me of assumption. I'm attempting CR, there is a question of assumption. So at that moment I'm only thinking about assumption. I'm not thinking ki, oh, my paper is going good or bad, or which college I will get into, what will happen. When there is assumption in front of you, think only about assumption. This is the key point.
Very interesting. Staying in the moment, focusing on the question, not panicking. I have a follow-up question for you, Shreyansh, before I move to Ananya. How do you deal with a surprise in the paper? For example, in the last year's paper, we had a AR passage, analytical reasoning passage, which was also apparently erroneous. So, how did you navigate such situations in an exam?
The thing, the drill is very simple. Like even one passage is there, which is surprising. Rest 114 questions are usually the same, which you have practiced for last 1 or 2 years. So the good thing is, until and unless the surprise is not very easy, do not touch that. Keep it that for last. And that exactly happened last year. The AR set was wrong, and the people who attempted it in the middle of the paper, eventually they got panicked and their rest of paper got ruined. But the people who completed their strength areas and rest 110, 114 questions, and then tried to attempt it in last 10, 15 minutes, then it worked. Eventually, if you are not able to do that surprise, until your rest of the paper is not going uh, down the track, you are keeping the control of rest of the paper, and eventually you manage to do surprises, whether you are able to do 2 questions or 4 questions.
That makes a lot of sense. Okay, I'll hear Ananya's take on this. Ananya, your detailed D-Day strategy. Let's go for it.
I mean, yeah, it's mostly just adding on to Shreyansh. You have to live in the moment. It's genuinely not that deep. Deal with the practical realities. Assume that the invigilator will waste 5 minutes of yours in making you sign stuff and fill out the OMR details. So you take that into account when attempting mocks or when you're practicing at home. You fill out the OMR, take 5 minutes, let the world pass by, then start attempting the paper. Do not deviate from your mock strategy. This is what people usually mean when they say that you need to find what works for you, because your mock strategy is what works for you. And if you go on changing it last minute, trust me, you are going to mess it up. And yeah, don't pay too much attention to the exam environment. I just slept because I was tired as all hell, but that's a different story. And Yeah, you need to enjoy the process, kind of like, this kind of information is what I'm going to be dealing with ideally in my next 5 years if I take up the BLLB degree and get into law college or whatever. And Yeah, if you get a surprise, assume, like, always assume that you are going to get a surprise, because the consortium sucks, it does not like you, it is going to try and throw you off. So take that into account as well, and stick to the pattern. Even if you get something in the section that you're not used to, like, go through the original pattern first, then come back to the questions you've skipped. That's my take about.
Super. So everyone hates consortium with a passion, right? Okay, lovely. And of course, if you are not a Zen and monk like Ananya, please don't sleep in the exam. I would not prescribe that advice to everyone. I don't think that works for everyone. It might work for Ananya, but yeah, staying in the moment is absolutely brilliant advice. Okay, lovely. So let's take up something from the chat box now.
One
Ayushi
more
ma'am?
thing to add. One
Yes,
more
yes,
thing
yes,
to add.
yes.
Just on the DWay, please take care that you fill your OMR correctly. Like that will trouble you a lot. Even 1, 2 question there, your rank will deviate from like 200, 400, or eventually if you are in lower end, 2000, 4000. So filling the OMR correctly is very, very crucial.
Excellent advice. Follow-up question, Shreyans. How did you fill up the OMR? What I mean by asking that is, was it after every question, was it after every section, after every 10 questions, or at the last? What was your approach?
So, like, there are 4 ways: after every question, after every para, after every section, and in the last. The first and the last is not recommended. You do not fill it after every question or at the last. Either you do it after every para or after every section. I personally did it after every paragraph. Five
Okay.
questions after every.
Ananya, what was your take?
Like I filled out the OMR in the beginning itself because that's what I've been doing with my practice mocks, and like that's what I did when I took into account the 5 minutes that would be wasted in doing the formalities.
By beginning, you mean after every question you attempted?
No. Like before I started the paper, I just filled out the OMR because I knew that okay, my 2 hours have started. I have enough time. Let's like take care and pay attention to what I'm filling out. So like the stupid stuff
No, no,
doesn't
I'm not
end up.
asking about the details. I'm asking about the question responses.
As in the question paper.
As in, when you answer a question, you mark A, B, C, or D as an
Oh,
OMR
like that.
response. When do you do
Oh,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
So fair enough. I guess yeah, because if I spend too much time thinking about a question and I saved the actual option for later, I actually usually, from what I notice in my practice patterns, I picked the wrong answer. So I like weighed two option, the best of both worlds. Took one and didn't think too much about it because if I keep thinking about one question when going on to the next, it's going to mess up both. But for those that you can't figure out in time, if you're still stuck between two very similar looking options, I'd say do the same thing as what you do when you get a surprise. Stick to the pattern, attempt all the questions first, then come back to that.
Okay. I think I did not convey the question clearly, but you also answered a very important doubt on how to approach two confusing questions. I was asking something else, but anyway, Shreyans has already answered it, so we'll not take it again. All right, cool. Let's take something else from the chat box. Let's see if we can find some unique question. Ayushi ma'am, if you have any question which you have identified, feel free to ask, please.
Not from the chat box, but I want to ask something from both of you that is there anything at the end of the 7 days that you guys changed entirely with respect to your strategy, or you just followed or stick to something that was there like before only, or did you actually change it with respect to something?
Shreyas, do you want to go first?
Shriyansh?
No, you go first. Okay,
Uh,
I shall go first. Yeah, so I think there was no drastic change, and it is also not recommended to completely change any part of your strategy. Some changes there, some minor changes can be there, some adjustment can be there, but please avoid doing any drastic change.
yeah, same answer here. Honestly, just don't change the pattern altogether. Only the method. Like
Ananya,
what
you?
I used to attempt every single question like 120 out of 120, which I didn't do in the actual examination. I left one or two questions I wasn't sure about. So minor changes like that are okay as long as they don't deviate from the overall pattern.
Amazing. That leads me to a super interesting question is how to balance attempts versus accuracy. Ananya has already eliminated that question for himself because he attempted almost 118 odd questions. So should we attempt 118 or should we balance out attempts and accuracy? Am I audible?
Uh, yeah, sorry, your camera froze. Could you repeat the question?
Yeah, my question was Ananya said that he attempted almost 118 odd questions. So, Ananya, do you recommend everyone to attempt so many questions, or should we also look at getting a good accuracy? Like, were you sure of all these 118 questions you attempted, or were you going for a higher attempt which would anyway balance out accuracy? What was the thought like?
Honestly, attempts to balance out accuracy, like unless you're entirely sure that every single answer of mine is going to be correct, I'd advise that you stay on the higher side of attempts because that gives you a bigger sample size to work with. Of course, you do have the negative marking, but in the event that on a general basis end up getting more correct answers rather than wrong answers, I'd say that would balance out your accuracy to an extent. But do focus on accuracy more in the like last few coming days.
Okay. Shreyansh, what do you think? Attempts versus
Yeah.
accuracy.
No, I think they are not in contradiction. You need to eventually balance it both. But accuracy will only come into picture if you have sufficient number of attempts. For example, I am attempting 90 question. Even if I'm getting 90% accuracy, that will not matter. Anything if the paper is of same difficulty as 2024 and 25, anything less than 105, 107 questions will not be a good attempt. At least you should try to keep your attempts on a higher number, especially when the paper is easy to medium difficulty level, considering has been in the last 2 years. And then eventually you need to balance it with accuracy. I personally attempted 119 question, and one question I didn't attempt it. I regret it now because eventually I was thinking it as a right option and I skipped.
Okay, so you heard it from the toppers. The attempt should be on a higher end to give you room for getting higher marks in case you are having a higher accuracy, and in case you are having a lower accuracy, that still gives you some margin. So minimum 105 attempts is what both of them prescribe. That's great. Let's hear it from them. What was their GK revision strategy? That's interesting. I saw it in the chat box. Let me highlight that. Ananya, can you go first? GK revision strategy for the last week.
Yeah, it's honestly not something I would recommend. It's haphazard as all hell, and as far as I know, it's only worked for me thus far because I don't tend to think in very isolated contexts. If I'm learning something about something, I try to link it because otherwise my memory just vanishes into thin air. So, something out of the usual prospect of things I did was look up the Wikipedia page for what had happened throughout the year, so I know what the world wants to say about what major events there have been. Otherwise, if you're the kind that follows a very fixated and pinpointed strategy for revision, I'd say take up your notes. The month end definitely helps, and just cover stuff under a general heading of, or let's say, Israel Palestine conflict or Trump tariffs, like that.
Super interesting. That's something unique. Your Wikipedia page was a new insight. Shreyans, what was your revision strategy for the last week?
Yeah, but I think it was about prioritizing things. So eventually, what I did, like I studied the compendium, I studied Manthan from starting and all the big news. But boiling down to the last week, what I did was I made from my own understanding, analyzing the PYQs, a list of 20 to 25 themes, not topics. Like Ananya said, when you study a topic in CLAT GK, you do not study the topic, you study the theme. For example, I am studying last year Lok Sabha elections were there. So when I am reading the Lok Sabha election, I am also reading the election commission, the first election, the state elections, the delimitation, reservation, and anything associated with the election itself. And eventually, that's what happened in the paper. There was one question on the women's reservation bill because reservation was a very highlighted issue in the last year election, and there was one question on the Jammu and Kashmir reorganization and election. So I tried to study those 20 25 themes on a priority basis, and eventually I referred and flipped through Manthans of the last 6 months primarily. But yeah, mostly I focused on those 20 25 themes I made from my analysis of PYQs and talking to faculties.
Amazing. So you guys got it. कैसे करना है last final 7 days का revision. Okay, I'll let Ayushi ma'am ask one last question before we wrap this up because both of these have graciously given us our time and they also have busy schedules. So we'll ask one last question. Ayushi ma'am, go for it.
Sorry, I was on mute. Anything that you would like to suggest all the students, the three tips that everyone should follow or everyone should do before they go to the exam or this in this last week of CLAT examination?
Okay, so three golden
Ananya,
advice,
you.
three top tips for the students from both of you guys. Let's start with Ananya first.
Okay, so number one, beyond anything, don't limit yourself. Don't tell yourself, "Oh, I'm stupid. Oh, I have not covered this. I'll not be able to do it." Don't do that. Assume you have all the power to do whatever you so want as long as you put in the requisite effort. Number one. Secondly, yeah, just keep yourself calm. Don't overload yourself. Don't like throw away your hobbies because, oh, this means that I'm serious about my prep. It doesn't. If you're burning yourself out, it's just messing up your prep. It's not worth it. Don't glorify that stuff. And lastly, just yeah, don't be stressing about what college you're going to get, because bro, if you get NALSAR, let me tell you, I think you won't regret it. uh, just saying, no shade to anyone targeting NLS in any case.
Great. Okay, Shreyans, your top three advice.
Shreyansh,
Yeah, yeah. First thing is obviously control the controllables. As you said, do not stress. Like even if you want to stress, like you're not going to change anything. So control the controllables. Second, please make sure you have the right schedule, sleep schedule in the last week, because your brain needs to be very active between 2 to 4. So do not, if you study in night, you are kind of a person who studies in night, please rectify that in last week. And third, equally manage your last 24 hours preceding the exam. Like I got a very good advice from a very senior faculty. He said that the last 24 hours before exams decide ranks among those who have studied equally. So if you manage your last 24 hours very well, like you are chilled, you have taken a proper sleep, and you are not overthinking, eventually that will be the deciding factor among those 5 to 7,000 people who have studied equally. So yeah, these three things.
So sorry,
Superb
just
ideas, I think.
add
Yeah.
to, yeah,
Yeah.
just to add to that, set your biological clock. As far like once December hits, set a schedule according to what you'll be doing on the day of the exam itself. So you're as physically accustomed to that particular schedule. Your brain will retaliate if you start like following a completely different schedule on the day of the exam, and it will throw you off.
Absolutely. Get your body clock in order, get your sleep in order, get your eating habits in order. These are very important for the D-Day. Aditya, no, you are not allowed to mark on question paper, ideally, but some invigilators don't mind, some do. So don't take the risk, I would say. All right, with that, I think we'll wrap up today's discussion. Please आप सब लोग like कर दो session को, because हमारी back end team काफी देर से आप लोगों से request कर रही है. Do the honors, because this has been a super helpful session. Thank you so much, Ananya. Thank you so much, Shreyansh. It really means a lot that you came out, took out time for these students, giving it back to the community. Means a lot to us. Thank you so much.
so much, Shreyansh.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much.
All right, all the best, guys. That's all for today. See you all in another session. We also have a marathon series which
Bye
is
bye.
starting in a couple of days. You can follow the details on our Telegram channel. Stay subscribed, like the session, share it with other students, and see you all in another one. Thank you so much. Bye bye. All the best.